Hi friends, WizD here, welcome to a new Raid Shadow Legends video. If you are like me, delaying, tackling or building your FireKnight hard team because of how hard it is, because what we see in the video from content creators, we see crazy stats for the champs. We see champs at 300 over speed, we see champs at 300% crit damage with like 6k attack or whatever. We see two of the crazy ally attackers like Mikagi and Cardiel or Padric and all of that stuff, and you think that I don't have this level of gear or champs on my account. Can I do FireKnight hard for this chance at the mythical gear and for Marius missions as well? The answer I'll show you today is yes, with champs that are accessible for most of us. We'll do the run, we'll check the stats and the build and the logic behind it as well, because the run will take a bit anyway. So let's jump right into it. First thing that I will tell you today is that the team I'm showing you is not a fast farm, and it can only work up to level 6 of FireKnight hard, which is not a bad place to farm. We only have 4 stages to go, but stat wise and everything, because that's one of the things that I try to do because of the limits of my account and probably most of your accounts as well. If you can get to those crazy level of stats, then FireKnight 6 is not a bad place to be. So this is the team, let's talk about it now. It's Ankura, Padric, and then Croydon the Blue, Newt and Yakarl. Why am I saying this is a budget team? Because Ankura was a fusion. If you haven't been playing long enough so that you got Ankura, which is one of the better fusions we got most recently, probably your account is not developed enough to tackle FireKnight hard anyways. Padric was guaranteed from, was it Soul Stones or Sacred Shards? I don't remember, but he definitely was one of the best investments anyone can do into the game. Newt was a fusion as well. You should get him if you're playing long enough, and Yakarl is guaranteed from the shop. So these 4 champs are all accessible. Croydon the Blue is a non-void epic that you can get from an ancient shard. Is there a replacement for Padric if you didn't go for the guaranteed event there, who was a fusion also? Yes, I'll show it after I show you this run. Of course, Padric is the better option there, because what we need in this spot, and it's not replaceable, is an ally attacker who will do all team attack. The other champion I was talking about that was a fusion and can be an easy replacement for Padric is Lunathrel. I think he can hit harder than Padric. Padric doesn't do any damage here, so he can help you with the waves as well. So if you don't have Padric, if you didn't go for that guaranteed event, if you've done that fusion, it was a while back, he will be the only other replacement that I can think of. Of course, if you have someone like Cardiel, it's out of the question that you can use them as well. So let's do the run and I'll show you the logic behind it, and then we'll check the stats and everything there. Why is Ankura Padric duo is so OP here? And because on their A1 they have a chance to reset the cooldown of someone else on the team, which will bring you faster to your like bigger skills, so you can tackle the waves faster or kill the boss faster when you get to him. Most FireKnight hard teams work exactly the same way. What's the way I'm talking about is that you'll have at least 2, if not 3, freeze champs on the team, meaning that the opponent, the waves, should never take a turn. Because this team, and that's what we're seeing in super endgame teams, your team is so squishy they cannot take a hit. So you're completely depending on nobody ever hitting you during the whole run. Good thing about this team that it can take a hit or 2, which is probably what all of us will face there. In average, we're tackling each wave in 1 minute, so we'll get to the boss in 2 minutes, and then it takes us around 2 minutes more to kill the boss. So that's a 4-minute run in average. It's not the fastest, but we're talking about what's reasonable, what you can achieve without a crazy level of gear there. Of course, I'll show you the AI setup after this run finishes, and we'll discuss the builds and everything beyond that. You notice here, of course, Yakarl and Croydon the Blue are keeping the waves frozen all the time, nobody's hitting us. As I said, this team can take a hit. So we got to the boss. You'll notice here that Croydon the Blue starting with his A1 because it's a 3-hitter, and then we're using the ally attack from Padric so we can break a shield. Usually, if this is a good run, unless something goes wrong, the boss never takes a turn. You see here, also it's very important when I show you the AI setup and stuff for Newt to go last in the team. You see it might look sketchy, but the boss never takes a turn because Croydon the Blue and Yakarl and then Newt's A1 will keep decreasing the boss's turn meter here. One of the good things here, this team, as I said, can take a hit. You'll note here the odd scenario, of course, because I'm recording. Yakarl failed because the boss take 1 hit at us, but this team can still work if that happens. Why is that important? Because that's a 100% team. You're not losing energy while running it. Yakar fell, Ankara brought him back, still we have the freezes, the boss won't take another hit at us. You see here we're decreasing his turn meter all the time now, so it's all good. The boss is void on stage 6, and that's why probably it would work with any champs that you use, because it's a neutral affinity. And then the only thing we're waiting for is for Newt to get to his big hit so we can take the boss down now. That's a perfect run. Well, it's not a perfect run, but it's good that we've seen Yakar fall down, just to show you that this team, one of the good things about it is that it can take a hit, someone can die, and still you will break the shield again. This is safe, this is 100% unless everything goes wrong like 4 times in a row or something. Of course, because of what happened, this run is a little bit longer than it should be. We'll do another run here because I want to talk to you about a couple of things. Main thing about this team and the waves specifically is that Yakarl and Croydon are keeping the waves frozen all the time. We don't want them to take a turn so we can take a hit, because of a simple fact that them taking turns will make this run even longer. We're done with the waves in a little bit longer time this time, but again let's repeat what happens when you get to the boss here. Croydon starts with his 3-hitter with his A1, and then the ally attack should take the shield down, with Newt going last so that his 3-hitter with the freeze can decrease the boss's turn meter. After this, Yakarl and Croydon the Brew with their freezes will basically keep the shield down, and Newt with her big hits and then A1 will also make sure that we tackle the boss fast enough. So you see here, we decrease the turn meter, we put decreased speed on the boss as well. In a perfect run, the boss never takes a hit at us. What happens is that if Newt or Croydon doesn't decrease the boss's turn meter like what we've seen here, someone can die and then the run would be much longer. In a perfect run again, the boss never takes a hit at us, but of course because I'm recording now, it happens. But again, it's a second example of this team surviving a hit and just breaking the shield again and finishing the run. Something worth mentioning here is that if Ankara and Podrick land their refresh skills, which is random from the A1s, on Newt and get back his A3 faster, that can make this run a little bit faster. But we're not depending on it, this team is solid either way. Of course, I got my 2 worst runs while I'm recording, which is fine. Usually the boss in a perfect situation never takes a turn. Let's now check the stats. Oh, hold on. We need to check the AI setup first. So while editing the video, I found out that the last part of it doesn't have audio, so this is where I was telling you about the AI setup and the champ builds for the run. So let's redo this part now. The AI setup is quite simple. It got only 2 tricks to it that I'm going to show you in round 2 now. Round 1, everyone can do whatever they want. When it comes to round 2, I want Podrick to start with his ally attack if he has it available, and then not to use it again, because I want him to start with it on round 3 to help break down that shield as early as possible. Same for Newt. The only thing that we set the AI setup to do is that on round 3 I want him to start with his A1 so that those last 3 hits from him will break the shield. If I want to be more specific there, probably I shouldn't let him use his A3 on round 2. Let's actually save it as that, so he will have it directly after the A1 and makes this run even shorter there. So that's all of the AI setup there. Now let's go check the champ builds. My Ankara is in her arena build. You don't need stone skin for FireKnight. Bolster is great. Bolster or shield are perfect sets for her because they will give the team that shield that will enable them to take that hit if it comes from the FireKnight. Except for the resistance, which you won't need much on FireKnight, all the other stats are not too high because we're talking about FireKnight hard here. Around 4k attack and 80-90k HP is what you need. You definitely want her above 220 speed. That's even a bit low speed wise because you don't want her too slow. You want her to take those turns, those A1s and the shield A2 as well. So that's Ankara basically. Now if you go check Podrick, my Podrick is in protection set. Again, not mandatory. I just had a great protection set lying around which would help him protecting his buff from being stolen. Not for FireKnight, for other content as well. HP and defense are okay with him just to make him tanky, but they are not mandatory. The important thing here is the speed. I have my Podrick at 270 speed. You don't want him much slower than this because he needs to take turns. He needs to get back to his speed up and ally attack as soon as possible. Third champ we have is Newt. My Newt is a little bit slow because he's locked in speed tune wise to my Sand Devil team, so he should be faster than this. 4k defense, 280 crit damage because Newt is the main damage dealer for the boss, and of course accuracy for the freeze. So 340 accuracy is not high, you cannot drop it a lot below this. And also the other stats like speed should be higher than this, and crit damage, try to make it as high as this. Help him kill the boss as fast as possible. Now we have Yakarl and Croydon to check. Yakarl should be built for damage because he's your main damage dealer for the waves. So 4k attack, he's attack based, 250 crit damage, that's not high at all, 240 speed more or less, and 350 accuracy because he will also help keep the boss turn meter down by doing the freezes. There is not a lot of leeway on this because we're talking about FireKnight hard stage 6, but I'll tell you something at the end of the video that might help here. So let's check our last champ, which should be Croydon the Blue. My Croydon the Blue is +2. You don't need him to be +2, and he's in random gear. He's the fastest on my team. You can make him a little bit slower, but I would say that 270 or 275 is a safe range there. Also, I built him for a little bit of damage with the accuracy, of course, because he will help control and kill the waves. You need everyone to be built as much as possible for damage, so you won't take forever tackling the waves there. Important things for the boss is just the accuracy and the speed, and for the waves some damage would help as well. What if you cannot even get to the stats that I just showed you, which is a little bit less than what everybody else is showing for FireKnight Hard 10 teams? The answer is quite simple. If you can build the champs a little bit slower than this, but with everything else that we've shown, then just drop a couple of levels there. Hit level 3 instead of level 6. If it's stable for you, if it's 100% consistent, then go with that till you have better gear to upgrade them to level 6. And then my next jump probably, which I will do in the next CVC in the next couple of days, I will get my Mikagi, and probably Mikagi will replace my Ankura. If I have double ally attack with Mikagi stuns for the waves, I won't need Ankura anymore. But when this works, I'll show it to you as well with minimum stats that's needed. For now, with the teams that I've just shown you, with everybody being mostly available to most players, you can get up to level 6 with one ally attacker and a protection champ like Ankura. Will anyone else like Python, for example, fit Ankura's spot? Yes, she's best because of her speed aura and also because of her A1 that can reset the skill, but Duchess or Python or any tanky support champ in a shield set or a bolster set will work exactly the same way. I prefer Ankura because of the A1 and the speed aura. I hope this one was helpful for you, and it made FireKnight Hard a little bit easier. If you like and subscribe for the channel to support it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.